Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unafraid, the podcast sharing stories from the queer community. I'm Jay, and I'll be your host for the next hour or so. We are still in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. We are still quarantined. Some businesses are opening, but I still encourage everyone, please, please, please be careful out there. Wear your masks if you have them. Stay away from other people. Try to keep all of us safe. I want to give a big shout out to the show's sponsor, Rebecca Jonesy, author of the Mabs Doll series, where the Fae know that everyone is unique and all love is valid. We have a very, very cool show for you today with a really interesting guest that I have been dying to talk to, but I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina Rei Stewart, trans woman, male to female, she, her pronouns, and I transitioned at the age of 39. So, 27. I
Yeah,
transitioned at
that's.
27, and I'm still 27. It's amazing how that works.
I was going to say 29.
Yeah, I wish. 29. I guess I should go up like 1 year at least each year that goes by since then.
But it always stays under 30, though. That's the key.
Right. Or maybe it starts going backwards. Then it gets creepy.
Well, and I just turned 40, so I'm just I'm 13 years older than you, but it's kind of like, being a part of the queer community now, as a 40-year-old person, when I really knew nothing about the queer community growing up, is such an incredible experience, because of course, especially if you get on Twitter. I urge people, don't get on Twitter. It's terrible. But there is so much love out there in the queer community, and I find myself now as a middle-aged person thinking, wow, I really wish, that I had been here so many years ago, because it's so enriching, and it's just so rewarding to have people who are just like, no, we love you. We love you. We don't care that you don't really know who the hell you are. We love you anyway. It's an incredible experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to talk bad about what the queer experience was like before because probably those insular communities existed and were supportive of each other. But now they're so public about it that people can sort of just see that they're welcome into these communities very quickly. And they can ascertain that there's not as much gatekeeping as you might have imagined. And for me personally, I can't be around the Twitter too long because I'm just afraid like something I say will, cause a catastrophe or something. But I've been able to reach out to this new community, and they are very cool. They just have a very like don't care, laissez-faire sort of attitude to gender, which is quite nice. Because when I was growing up, the ideal was to somehow assimilate and take on the traits of a woman as I saw a woman. But like it's almost like feminism and this idea of gender have sort of started to blend to the point where I don't know what a woman is anymore. Am I a woman? I mean, there's certain levels of cues that you give in public interactions and social interactions, right? But yeah. I should finish introducing myself. I am an editor. I am an Emmy-nominated editor, but not for the big Emmys, not even the daytime Emmys, the New York Emmys. But still, I worked on Restaurant Hunter, which if you're from the New Jersey, New York area, Long Island, anywhere around there, you would probably know because it was on FiOS One News. It ran for 9 seasons. That was a really cool show. And I did local news before that. I lived in Japan. I studied Japanese. I was in a rock band. I had a Japanese rock magazine. Now I do podcasting, and I'm also a writer / video person. I don't know what to call it exactly. Video journalist for handsomephantom.com. So I do everything. And then I have my day job.
That's pretty awesome. It really is. When you emailed me, I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I'm gonna have you on the show. That's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention that I did the movie that we were talking about. I did a movie. My friends and I kickstarted a movie called Rocky Horror Saved My Life. They were part of that community of people who get up in front of the screen at the midnight showings and do all of the pantomime for the screen. And it's a lot more than that. I'm downplaying it, but you're gonna have to take my word for it because we're in COVID-19 right now, and there's no reference point anymore. You can't just go to Rocky. Like, Rocky doesn't exist except on online clips now, and our movie, which never came out officially, but was premiered at the 40th anniversary, which was really neat. Anyway, that was a really awesome experience, and I was the producer. I also shot it, and I also edited it. So I had a hand in pretty much all of it.
So producer, editor, filmmaker, podcaster. What else? What else do we have?
I was a modeling scout.
Oh my god! And a rock band.
I was into I worked in a tofu factory doing sales.
Oh, okay.
I was a tour guide in Japan and a mall guide. I wore this spacesuit looking thing, this like gay space ranger looking kind of outfit, and I like smiled, and every morning I would do this like shout. I'd be like, "Hey boys, ready to shine?" That should have been the first signal that I was a little bit light.
Well, I'm wondering why you're not wearing that outfit right now, because that would have been perfect.
Well, I've got my stars on, so either way. I'm getting off track. I did a lot of things.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's awesome. What did you do in the band? What was your role?
I was a vocalist. I was a terrible vocalist. I didn't know how to sing, but I had a lot of passion for getting up on stage and showering myself in attention. So
I feel you there.
The 20s, my 20s. That was my 20s. You know what I mean? Like
your early 20s, because you're still in your 20s.
That's correct. That's correct.
So tell me
phase one of the Sabrina Rei cinematic universe.
I like it. Oh, I like it. Sabrina Rei cinematic experience. That could be a whole video project right there.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for something I do to be like big enough that people are like, "Hey, we should follow this person," or "Hey, we should throw money at her." That would be great.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Come on, people watching Unafraid. You can send checks. We'll do good work with them. We will.
Yeah, please support this show. Don't worry about me.
Oh wait, that's right. We're talking about Sabrina. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. I like it. I don't actually want anything left. I'm married. I have a wife. I have a beautiful daughter who just turned 9 years old. I made it. Like, I have enough in my life that I'm happy. I have my PlayStation 4. I have my Nintendo Switch and Animal Crossing. Everything's good.
You know what? I think that working with film, podcasting, was in a rock band, and as a gamer, those are all requirements to be a trans woman, aren't they?
They seem to be, yeah.
I think that's, yeah, you have to do those things.
There was something in that Monster energy drink or something, right?
Well, tell me about being a filmmaker and working on TV projects.
So I loved. I originally studied Japanese in college. I graduated with a degree in Japanese studies, and then I went to live there, did a bunch of stuff, came back, worked in a factory, and I was doing a magazine at the time for Japanese rock music, and I'd fly back and forth to Japan. I was spending lots of money I didn't have. And then one day, Takako, my wife, was like, "Hey, what do you want to do? Because you can't keep doing this because it's just burning through money and you're not making any." And I was like, well, I always wanted to be in film. Like, I had a choice to either go study Japanese at Clark University and be close enough to my house that I could drive 3 hours to do laundry on the weekends, or I could go to film school. And I got into film school and I never went. And so I decided that I'd get back into television, and I went to like one of these like crash courses, right? The ones around here are called the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. And at the time it was super focused on radio, which not a lot of DJs talking and doing that these days, right? But it was a transitional period. And I got into television. I got a job pulling cable at high school football games. I hate sports. But I learned it eventually that you're supposed to follow the ball and not the people you think are interesting. But yeah, so I started focusing my work and my desires on telling stories in the visual audio medium, right? So YouTube was just starting to get big, and this was pre like red letter media. So like there was like a snarky guy, like there was like a snarky guy void that had yet to be filled. And I thought me and my friends might have a chance. So we did this series called F is for Film. And then eventually that sort of fizzled out. I did have several moments though where I was like, I should dress as a lady for this segment, guys. Don't you think? Don't you think that'd be funny if I wore her skirt for this? Yeah. And it didn't pan out. I remember we did an episode on The Proposal, which was a movie everyone forgot, and that's when I knew I was trying too hard. So instead, I had met this guy Sean on that show that we were doing on F is for Film, which was like a film parody / review series. So exactly what got popular after we stopped making them. So we missed the zeitgeist by that much, maybe that much, but still relatively close to our dreams we were. But I probably wouldn't have transitioned, because I would have been so public. I would have been afraid of blowing up what I had. So maybe it was all for the best. Anyway, I met this guy, Sean. He was really funny, and he was part of Rocky Horror. And I never did Rocky Horror. I was never part of a shadow cast. And I actually didn't like the film. And I think you might know why. It's because I didn't like being associated with that kind of transvesticism, transgenderism. The idea of, I know that now that I understand it more, I know that Frankenfurter, who your audience may not understand, but it's sort of about aliens who are on the earth, and it's like a rock musical in which these aliens that have like wild or more open ideas about their gender and their sexuality take these two stiff shirt like co-eds and turn them into deviants by the end of the film, right? Through a series of like macabre and sort of out of this world action and sexual hanky-pankery. So like I never really liked that movie because when I thought of myself as someone who wanted to be a woman, or at least at the time, someone who knew that they had like that side to them, right? That side that desired femininity. I felt like it was making a mockery of me. Now I kind of understand that it's more in the David Bowie variety, where it's like it's almost like a sexual liberation, right? Like a gender liberation. And the people who go there, they dress however they want, they do whatever they want. And so I started making this movie. We started this Kickstarter through Sean and Larry, and I discovered this world, and I was still in the closet at this time to everybody except for my very, very close, like immediate family, not my parents, not my sister, but my wife, and obviously my daughter was too young at that time. But and we got $60,000 to do it, but $60,000 in Kickstarter, I don't know if you know this, but it's not $60,000. It comes out to like $40,000, which is significantly less once you factor in a lot of other things. But we went all across the country and we visited a bunch of different casts. And I started out as the straight guy, like kind of like, who are these people? Oh, they're interesting. And I always felt like I was a little on the outside. And there was even this one party I went to where this girl literally stole my pants. She came up to me and she started unbuckling my pants. I was high on something, and I let her go down and undo them, and then she ran away with them. And I was like, shit, my wallet's in there. So I had to like chase after her. I'm still friends with this person, by the way. But yeah, this was not ideal for me. I was a little shy about it too, because I was afraid people would discover who I was. I wasn't ready to tell everybody. But then I was. And it's because I was interviewing all these people about how Rocky Horror gave them that outlet to express themselves and express the things that they thought they couldn't elsewhere. Sometimes racist things, sometimes terrible, terrible things, but it's almost like a purge of all those things that society tells you not to do or not to say. So I know I'm doing a great advertisement for Rocky Horror right now, and you guys can't go to see it, so fuck you.
Well, the first 15 minutes are up, aren't they?
Oh yeah, I mean you can see some of like that's the first 15 minutes is more historical. It gets into like the New York scene and stuff, and we really dug down deep because that this phenomenon, this midnight movie phenomenon, and it is the most popular midnight movie, has been going on since like 1970s. So, you know, like that's a long time, and they started out just like one guy yelling jokes at the screen in the most New York way possible. And then it just ballooned from there, and it's sprung up all over the world. We even went to Germany and attended a festival. Like, just like the people get, it's like the theater kids get up on the stage and they are rock stars. They don't have to play an instrument, they don't have to do anything, but they embody the characters and they steal their power. And I started to steal not only some of the power from the movie, but I started to like steal their courage from all these people I talked to who were so confident in themselves and they knew who they were. And I was like, I want that. I want what they have. And so one night, I was really not what you would say able to put together fashion as a woman at that time, but I threw on this mesh top, a skirt. I didn't have like my legs. I don't know if you've ever shaved your legs, but it's pretty hard when you're not on when you're not on estrogen. It's really hard because it's just a forest. It's almost like some kind of Sisyphean hell where you just keep cutting down the trees and they just keep growing up again. I don't know, but I put on leggings. Some flats that I'd gotten. Like I almost looked Orthodox Jewish, you know, that kind of look like the new girl, like Zoe Deschanel look. Except I'm 6 foot. At the time, I was 6'2" or so. Now I'm a little bit closer to 6'1" because I guess my musculature changed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, I just showed up to a film meeting like that with my producer friends and with Sean and Paul and Larry. I just showed up and I was just like, what's up, guys? I'm transgender. And I want to be a woman. And that's that. So from now on, I'm going to be like, I always went by the name Boo because I wanted a name that was gender neutral. I didn't want, like, I know people wouldn't call me, I didn't want to be called Carol or anything like that, right? Because I didn't feel comfortable like looking clearly like a man and being called a woman's name. Like that wouldn't have satisfied me. But Boo, it was nice and small, and I'm very large, and it was diminutive, and it made me feel like people could see me a little bit. And they already had my name, and I just told them that I would prefer that they only call me Boo and not by my what we call a dead name or a name that we no longer use. Mine is legally changed, so in all ways that name is dead. In fact, I think of the person I was as dead, basically, because I think of that person as someone who protected me and created a situation where it was safe for me to emerge.
Like kind of, have you seen the graphic that's really similar to that? It's the man with a suit. You know, it's a cartoon, a man with a suit laying down, and the woman kind of rising out of him, and saying thank you for protecting me. And it's very sweet. I put it on my Instagram because I saw it, and this was like 2 weeks after I had told my wife, hey, so I'm transgender, and I saw it. I was just like, "Ah," just crying my eyes out as I looked at it. But okay, so I know what you mean.
I'm sorry, I can't cry for that person, for the person I was, the person that I buried, basically, because I did my crying. I did it publicly. I did it so hard. And I didn't transition hormonally while I was making the movie, but I began dressing as a woman and living as a woman, and with wigs, which were very hard to shoot with. I had a camera, like a rig, with a
Oh,
DSLR on it, and it was very heavy. And I'm wearing a skirt and not heels, but like uncomfortable shoes, like that are too small for me too. And I'm trying to shoot
why
this movie,
why
and
did you get shoes that were too small?
because I'm size 11, and
Oh,
sometimes 11 isn't 11, sometimes 11 is 12, sometimes 11
okay.
is 13. It's very difficult to tell, but yeah, I was ordering them online, and I would in those days I would buy something and I'd be like, this is gonna fit. It'll fit eventually. I'll just wear it until it fits. Or like I remember I bought this one pair of shoes. They were like they had a wedge heel. They were pointy toed, and they had like a military camouflage camo. And I tried putting ice in them to expand them. I tried everything. Nothing would make those shoes fit. And now I'm like an old lady. I'm like, this is comfortable. I'm wearing this. Like, I still choose fashionable shoes, but for the most part, if it's not comfortable, I'm not fucking wearing it. Like, I'll wear it to like a shoot or something. Like, if you want to tell me like, oh, we're gonna put you in a magazine, you have to wear these shoes for 10 minutes. Like, okay, sure, I'll wear it. Or like, you put me in a wedding, I'll wear uncomfortable shoes for the night, but not not every day.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and you said that you well, and you said you used to wear wigs a lot. Because I'm curious, because I've been thinking about wigs a little bit myself. You know how do they fit? I mean, did you find that you were happy with them, aside from it being a pain to shoot with, or was not really?
Well, the trick is that I never had a wig fitted to me. I never did the whole like go to a place, have them size you up, fit you, like give you a wig that you could live in. Like if you had something that deprived you of hair, um, like if you were being treated for cancer, right? Um, but I got those Japanese fiber ones, like that were cheap online from China, kind of smelled weird first, and I found a couple of them that really worked for me, and I'd wear them constantly, and they just got so ratty,
Mhm.
and they were so hot to wear. Like I just didn't. I did it because I had to, but I'm so happy not to have to. And I realized that's such a privilege because you and I were talking earlier, and you said that you're also dealing with like that issue, and like you would want it, but you're not sure if you want to live that way. And like I totally get it. I
Well,
totally get it.
and
Like if I didn't have my natural hair, I'm not sure I would do the wig thing. I'm not sure.
well, and I was thinking about actually, because people have alt accounts now on social media, where you'll have your alt Twitter or your alt Instagram, and I was thinking, okay, well, because I may have already ordered something from Wish that may or may not get here within the next 10 years,
Right.
AirPods.
COVID-19
and
suck one.
and so I was thinking, what if I just what if I just tried it out, and took some pictures of myself, and just to see what it looked like, and when I was talking to Laura not long ago on the show, they were saying that, it's okay to try different things and then to maybe go back and try something else, and if it's not working for you, and I really liked that idea because I think in my head I've been stuck in this, well, if I'm going to do this, I have to do this all the way, but really it's not like that at all. I'm still figuring out who I am, and what I want my appearance to be, or if I want it to change at all. And um
Yes. Yes, you
so,
are right. And that comes down to the quintessential question that all male to female transgender people face is, do I want to go all the way? Do I want the surgery? And I'm not going to say whether I made that decision or not, but
yeah.
like that's the same thing. Like you can be shades of, like, you have more permission now to be shades of something than you've ever had before. And
that is, it's such a, it's confusing for someone who's just beginning this journey, but it's also kind of like breathing. It takes something off of you. It takes those bands off your chest a little bit, and gives you some options, because there is a surgery that I would really like to have, but there's also consequences when you have different surgeries, and so those are things that I have to weigh. I mean, I'm married to a wonderful cis lady. I've got 4 kids myself, and there are certain things that I don't want to change about myself for her also, because I respect her and I love the hell out of her, and really she's all I really want in this life. All of this other stuff is just kind of me trying to figure out how to be a better me. So yeah, there's a lot of thinking and decisions involved in this, and as you know, you've been
yeah,
there. I'm still just speculating on everything.
yeah, you've actually given me a good segue to talk about that because I did attempt a medical transition when I was 37. I started growing my hair out. I started getting ready to live my life as a woman, and I went all the way to the city. I got my permission from I got first I went to a gender therapist. I got my letter. I didn't need it. You could just go to the city and get it because I live near New York, where there's a really famous clinic called Cal and Lord. But I got everything I needed, and I got the pills. I got the pills in my hand, and I didn't have a job. I had lost it recently, and so much of my future was dotted with like question marks, and I didn't know how I was going to do anything, how I was going to pay for it, whatever. Like, I just thought, I need this so hard. And like, a lot of people told me, like, you got to do what you got to do for this, but my wife gave me an ultimatum, and like, I know the community like doesn't like that moment, but I was making a decision for both of us without her permission, or her, I guess I never needed her permission, but I never even opened the subject in that way. I just kept hand waving her. And I actually tossed out my first prescription in the garbage. And I tried to go back and live my life again. And it worked for a while. I got a new job, and I was doing the news, and I shaved half my head, and it was a very hot summer, and I was so happy. I was going around shooting stuff, and I was out there again, and I was in my chosen profession, like, so. And as I rose through the ranks and I started doing things the right way, and I eventually landed on the show that I wanted, that I had originally applied for, I started revisiting the idea, except this time it was different. I was like, I'm going to consider every single aspect of this from every single angle. And I'm going to see not only how it benefits me, but how it actually benefits everyone else in that chain. Like, transitioning, of course, it is a personal decision and it benefits you. But the people who know you, they don't want a broken you. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to hear. They don't want you at your worst, but they don't know that what you can be at your best. And that's where I sort of started realizing that, like, if I transition, I'm going to be a better, like, I'm going to be a better partner to my wife. I'm going to be a better caretaker to my daughter. I'm going to be a better offspring to my parents. I'm going to be a better sibling to my sister. Like, I'm going to be better at my job. Like, because it's going to be me and there won't be any filter anymore. And I started taking HRT, like, behind closed doors before, like, officially doing it through a doctor, because I'd already gotten approval. So I knew the doses that I would start at. I wouldn't recommend that way, but that is how I tested myself to see how I felt. And I knew immediately that this is what I was missing. That the reason that when I went to Cancun and I went nuts and tried to kill myself in a sink after my wife broke a glass, I knew that, like, I would not only hurt others if I continued the way I was, without addressing it in a big way and definitively deciding what I can and can't do, but that I also, this is what was missing. This is what I needed. Like, now I know that I was supposed to be a woman, or I was supposed to live this way. And everything makes more sense this way. My friends make more sense. My parents make more sense. Like, all the, like, animosity and stuff I was carrying, like, I'm not saying it solved all my problems, but, like, a lot of them were solved. And, like, I didn't know what to do with that even.
Can I interrupt your story for just one
Absolutely.
second? You know, there I've thought about this before, and you said that you started to see things differently. Things started to make sense, and you knew that's who you were supposed to be. Do you think it was? Is it the acceptance within your own mind, or is it the intervention of the hormones that make the big difference there? Do you think? Because I feel just, and this is going to sound bizarre, but just since my egg cracked, I'm still learning all of these terms. Since
I'm
my
old. I don't
egg
know all the terms
cracked,
either, but
I picture myself crawling out like a velociraptor. Is how I see this whole egg business.
good.
Yes, yes.
That's how I want to
Um,
picture it.
I have been so much more. I'm kind of. I'm super duper emotional. I like cry at anything now, and I just feel I feel more I feel more emotionally connected to people, but I'm not on any kind of hormone therapy at all. My appointment was canceled because it was right when the pandemic started. So I'm like, shit. I guess I'm waiting now. Um, so it's so I'm just wondering, as someone who's experienced that, and now things started to fall into place, what do you think it was that helped those things fall into place?
That is a
That
difficult answer. That was a
does
difficult question to answer.
does that make sense, or?
It does make sense, and it's something I did think about. Um, when people asked me who didn't understand what exactly transgender feelings were like, I was like, well, it's kind of like let's go back one sec. Like, I was not the kid who was like, I was not dressing up as a girl as a kid. I was not playing with Barbies. I think I had a pretty happy childhood, um, but there were definite signs that I wanted something else. Like, for some reason, I gravitated towards the girls in every bit of media that we watched or that I consumed. So, like, it could be something as innocuous and dumb as the Gummy Bears, which had one female character named Sunny who had, like, a mohawk. Like, why was that something I aspired to? Didn't understand. But whenever we had a chance to pretend that we were the Gummy Bears, I would choose Sunny. whenever we had the chance to pretend that we were cartoon characters, I would choose Jessica Rabbit, who wasn't even a cartoon, wasn't even like a rabbit, you know, like I would always choose the girl. And or Bugs Bunny trans cross-dressing, right? Because he did that sometimes for some reason. So when I had to confront like how to explain that to people, I was like, well, it's kind of like I have the architecture of a girl underneath this like structure that's been built up as a man over time. And so like for me, the hormones kind of chiseled away the architecture, chiseled away the outside and revealed the architecture, and have allowed me to rebuild myself in the image that I was meant to have, I would say. So some of the changes have been emotional. Like I do find myself like having moments where I cry for no reason, or I feel I like I always puzzle at how TERFs or people who talk derisively about trans women or trans men, how they could possibly like not consider, especially someone who's on hormones, a woman. Because like when I sit with a woman, she like sends me signals and like we pick up on each other. It's like a frequency. And like, I don't know whether that's because I live as a woman and because I present and send out a signal that is picked up, or if there's like a scent or something that's in the air that's like a natural
It's
thing.
the pheromones.
It's got to be a combination of several things, right? Because as I used to smell like the women in my life would say I used to smell like tacos when I got rank, you know, and they liked it, I guess, because the less I bathed, the more like randy the people around me seemed to get with the pheromones
tacos,
and stuff.
right?
Right.
Wow.
But now I don't smell like much of anything, to myself at least, or to people around me that I know of, or other women. Like I could go days without a bath now, even if it's sweaty and hot outside. Like I don't need it. Like I'll do it for my own upkeep and personal like appearances, but like I go like, if I had to, I could probably go like a week and a half without like getting any kind of scent on me.
Wow.
I'm like a baby deer.
Wow. Yeah, I am 24 hours max. I've got to be bathing.
So that's hormones. I don't know. Like there's certain things about hormones that do change you, but I think maybe just the outward perception is part of that. And because I could see myself the way that I wanted to be seen, it's possible that I also like changed my own attitude towards myself. Like the more that I could see myself, I will say this: I didn't expect the hormones to make me as confident as I am. Like when I came out at work, I was an editor, so I didn't have to come out while I was going restaurant to restaurant shooting video for like. We basically did kind of like a diners, drive-ins, and dives, but locally, and sometimes like with more of an aspiration to no reservations or something like that. The Anthony Bourdain sort of restaurant shows. Yep. So like we had to like feed the audience diners, drive-ins, and dives, but we had the ambition of Anthony Bourdain, and it was a nice show to work on, like really good quality material. But I used to be a shooter, meaning the person who does the photography, and I moved into the editing room because my shoulder was kind of bad, and I came out. And I was a part of a 3-person team of guys. So, you know, it was a little awkward. I just started getting more femme. Nobody was picking up my signals. Nobody except the other women in the office who knew something was up. They're like, your skin looks especially nice today. It's like, yeah, it does. You're right. Wonder why. It's like, I'm in a ball dress. I'm in a ball gown. I'm transgender. It's like, no, not you. No way.
Well, so you were, before I derailed you there, you were talking about kind of almost selling this transition to people as a better version of
Yeah,
yourself and how you were going to, and in my head, what that means is because you're going to be happier and more comfortable and confident with your own body and mind, you're going to be able to be there in a better way for everyone else.
that's
Um,
exactly it.
what was the response that you got from that? I know you said that you hadn't the first time around, you hadn't really taken your wife's feelings too much into consideration. How was she when you approached her the second time around talking about this?
So, do you know the show Parks and Rec?
I do.
Do you know
I
Leslie
do.
Knope? Leslie
I
Knope is she needs binders, right? That's her
yeah.
character. Like
Mhm.
you want to do something for Leslie Knope, you need to present it in a way that she can like understand. And my
Mhm.
wife is very similar in a way, in that like she's an accountant. Like I never thought about it. Like I didn't think about what other people needed to know in order to accept me, in order to take this step with me. And what I realized is that if I presented it in a way that she understood, I addressed all the financial concerns. I addressed the concerns about our child, like what are people going to think? Like what are the neighbors going to think? Like is she a lesbian? Like if I answer all the questions that people have by myself in a way that like can be refuted but is strong, then when I present it, it makes it easier for them to say yes. And I think that's probably what I would suggest for anyone who needs to come out or who is considering a transition. It's a big step, and if you can take people along with you and show them the evidence based, you know, reasoning why everyone's going to be happier with these results, it makes it so much easier for them to say yes, and then it makes it easier for you to like justify your decision, right? Like not justify it, but to justify it to yourself. And I did the same thing with my parents and my sister. Like I had a disastrous coming out with my sister the first time.
Mm.
Like I remember I told her and she blew up at me and she yelled at me and she told me that like she uh she felt like she was losing her brother. She felt like she didn't know me anymore, like I'd been lying to her. And I tried to not, I like was forceful. I was like, that's not fair. That's not how you feel. You hardly ever see me. Like I was telling her how to feel. And I feel really bad about that now because obviously I should have been like just weathering that and like just trying to see it from her perspective, but I didn't. And she was visiting me with her kids, and she left early, and that hurt a lot. Like, but now we're actually pretty close, and part of it is because I just kind of said what things are. Like, this is what I'm doing, and this is how it's going to be better. And instead of trying to tell her how to feel or rushing her through the process, like I had to, my dad has been the hardest, I think, because my dad growing up, I was his only son at the time, and it didn't sit right with him. It was he really did lose out on this deal. So I had to say like we've had a contentious relationship, Dad. Like if you look back at our history, like the suicide attempts in high school, which were really bad suicide attempts. Like I was not very good at suicide attempting. Um, Not that anyone is who still is alive, but like I just think we're not fully hearted. They were what cries for help, I guess you could say. Um, I probably shouldn't have said it that way, but um, I I just I told him like the reason there's so much strife and animosity between us is because I have been holding this in and living this lie and trying to be like some vision of who your son is supposed to be. And I can't be that. I could never be that, but I can be the daughter the younger daughter of you. Like, I can be your younger daughter. Like, I know how to be that. And I know how to be that so good. Like, I know how to be your daughter so much better. And our interactions have just improved so much. But, he's in mourning still to this day. He lost something and I can't replace it. But I can be the best version of what I can offer him. That's all I can do. And that's all you can do with anybody, really, right? But with my mom too, like she's sad to lose a son, but our relationship as mother and daughter has only improved. And like, I cried so hard when she sent me a card that finally was not ducks or forests or elk or a tie and a gun. Like, the gendered cards were so obnoxious through my youth. I don't even understand them in the context of a teenager. Like, I don't know why a boy would want to get like the cover of Outdoor Weekly as their card every birthday. But that is what I always got. And finally I got butterflies and inside, and she gave me like jewelry. And I'm wearing some of the earrings that she gave me. Her taste level is a little suspect sometimes because she's much older than me. And, she doesn't have too much time to shop because she has like a little timer that goes off on top of her head as how long she can stand. But that makes it even more precious because she's using that little timer and she's using that energy to get me something to make me feel welcome to womanhood and being her daughter. And I'm so grateful. But yeah.
How long has it been now since you came out to them and started your journey?
I'm in my 3rd year of HRT, and I came out to my dad like a year before that, and I visited them while I was on HRT, and I didn't tell them because it was only 2 months, I think. And at 2 months at my age, you don't see too much. I could see it, and I was like, you guys have no idea. But that was the last time I was like presenting that way in front of them, like live in person. But yeah, so
this is the big question then, is because you sold to them this better version of you, this better, happier version of you, and now you're 3 years in so far. How are you doing on how are you doing on making good on those promises?
So I am definitely the best version. I would be able to say what I wanted to do in office meetings. I was the best version at work. I constantly think about like how I can like, I used to be so shy around crowds and I didn't like to go out, and I would complain about like standing outside, and I'd go outside and I'd be like, where's Takako? Why isn't she out here? And like, I am just so chill now and I love going out. Like, I went to Ren Fair. I finally got the flower crown that I've been wanting so I could look like the girl from Midsummer. Because I got that.
We don't want to look like anyone from that movie, do we?
No, but yes, also yes. It's like, I love the aesthetic, right? I have one of those dresses that I was going to wear for Halloween, but it was super late shipping. But I wear it now as just a regular dress, get compliments around town, even though I'm secretly repping a murder cult. Swedish murder cult.
If you've got to secretly rep somebody, then you got to make it as a Swedish murder cult.
Yeah, but I share all these adventures with them. I'm so open about everything. I love to cook now. It's like my zen. I had started cooking before, but like now it's not like a gendered thing. It's more like I just found my like happy place, and I'm so willing to share all of it with them. But on the other hand, I'm also their daughter in that I super won't put up with their fucking bullshit. My mom like tries to like turn the conversation without like reacting to what I'm saying. Like she'll try to be like, I'll tell her this great story about how I got panna cottas at the Japanese grocery store, and I was so excited to try them. And she'll just be like, "Let me tell you about the fish I cooked." I was like, "No, we are not doing that. You are going to listen to my story, and if you don't know what a panna cotta is, you're going to ask me."
Okay,
Okay.
so what is a panna cotta?
Oh,
Panna
it's like a semi-frozen. It's like a semi-solid cream based dessert. It's a little less sweet than a flan or a pudding.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
an Italian dessert. It's very tasty.
See, now I've learned something. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, they're
Uh,
yummy. They're a little bit thicker
okay.
than like a pudding.
Okay. Well, I it really it's so cool to hear your story, and knowing that you started at 29, which is only 1 year younger than me at 30. Uh,
Oh my gosh, you're
you know,
right. But once you figured all that out, you're actually going to be 29, and you're gonna yeah
that's right. I'll go backwards.
yeah.
Maybe I'll be 27. Um, but no, it's so good to hear that because at least on okay, so I have several different social media personas. Okay,
Mhm.
Unafraid has an Instagram page. I think it's just Unafraid on Instagram, and then on Facebook I have my Jason Lavelle page and my author page because I write books, and on those I'm just kind of everyday goofy, weirdo Jason who writes scary books. On Twitter, I am I am this queer person that nobody really knows very well, but that hosts this podcast. And so I kind of have different levels of queerness based on what social media I'm on. And on Twitter, which is where most of my queer friends are, a lot of the trans men and women that I see are much younger than me, and so I'll see these really young, beautiful men and women who are going through their transition and talking about their journeys, and I'm like, well, but that's not me. That's never
Right.
gonna be me. And I don't feel like I see a lot of representation for people who are 40 and older. So it's really nice to speak with someone who's been living their adult life for a long time. Um, before this change started to happen for you, or before this journey started for you. So I really appreciate you sharing that with me. I know I just kind of
Oh, no problem.
went off on a weird little tangent there. I don't know where I was going, but all I meant to say is I really enjoyed having you on to talk to you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure coming. I wish we had another 4 hours to talk.
I know. Well, yeah, and next time we're gonna have to get into Gerard Way because
Oh my god.
that is a whole glorious subject on itself. But we're at 53 minutes. We're not getting into Gerard Way because that'll
Well,
go
I will
on
say that I
for
do have
2 hours.
tickets, so
Do you
I'm
really?
holding out hope. I'm at Newark. I have
Oh,
tickets for Newark,
you
their
lucky,
hometown show.
lucky girl. That's amazing.
I'm holding out hope.
Uh,
Good tickets too.
all right, Sabrina, can you tell me about some of the projects you're working on?
Sure. Currently, I am in production on a podcast called The Cherryton School Report, a Beastars podcast that deals with the Japanese anime Beastars. You can look us up on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Probably the same places that you get the podcast that I'm currently on, Unafraid. Um, that is about an anime that is it borders on furry sometimes, but it's got a lot to say about intersectionality and sort of like it's about a wolf that kind of falls in love with a rabbit, but also kind of wants to eat her. So it's this weird psychosexual drama. It takes place in this elite prep school. There's all this weird world building. All the characters are anthropomorphic, so they have like the bodies of like humans but covered in fur, and they have like animal features. So really interesting. You can watch it on Netflix actually, and then come check out our podcast. It's really fun. We just talk about the episodes as they like 2 episodes per show without spoiling like future episodes. So it's like a watch along podcast. Before that, I did a podcast called the Cruel Angels podcast, which you could also see, which was an Evangelion rewatch podcast, which was very similar. And I used a lot of my background in Japanese to kind of get deeper into that sort of aspect of the show. And I'm going to be part of this new venture, and I don't know if anyone has talked about it, so you've kind of got an exclusive. Um, yeah, right. That's the word everybody likes to hear. All the producers like to hear exclusive. Um, it is called Trans High, and I have been cast in the role of Aunt Marie. Which is really cool. And it's done by a lot of trans Twitter personalities, writers, and actors, one of whom is Holographic Muse, spelled just like it sounds. You can follow her on Twitter for more information, but basically it's going to be it's a project that involves only trans people, and it's about only trans people. Every single character in what I assume is transgender high is transgender in some way. So, it's going to be fun. I don't know much about it yet. I haven't even gotten a script, but I read from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for my audition, and they cast me as Aunt Marie. So you can probably, yeah.
That's awesome. Is this going to be an audio only, or?
Right now, I believe it's going to be a YouTube thing that we record in sort of the style of COVID-19, right? So like boxes and separate lives. Maybe it'll have the conceit of like people doing video chat. I don't know yet.
Okay. Well, that sounds awesome. But you've got my email. You have to keep me up to date on this, because I want to check this out when it starts rolling out.
Yeah, I would love to. Absolutely.
Is there a proposed air date for it yet, or?
No, it's still, because we haven't even gotten scripts yet. We're not expecting scripts until maybe June. I guess June is right around the corner, but mid-June, I think, is when I heard. And then probably they'll be recording after that. And I don't know. I don't want to say too much, because I think if you follow Holographic Muse on Twitter, or hold on, I got to look it up. Electric Claire, CLAIR on Twitter, you can get updates on the project. It should be a lot of fun, though. I've seen some of the early like characterizations and stuff, and they're going full high school with this. It's good.
Well, thank you so much to everyone who is watching or listening. You really are the whole reason I'm doing this, is just to try to share information, spread the love to everyone. And I want to say another shout out to our sponsor, Rebecca Jonesy, author of the Mabstall series. Thank you so much for keeping this show going and making it possible for me to do this. So until next week, until next time, stay safe and stay strong, everyone. Bye.
Bye.